Good morning.
Good morning.
Paul Marion, President of Tiffin University, at least for another 8 months. We're very pleased you're with us this morning for Good Morning World. This is a community service that Tiffin University has provided to our community for a number of years, and we've had a number of speakers about a variety of topics, and I think you'll find this morning's speaker especially interesting. So I'd like to ask Ron Schumacher, our Vice President for Development and Public Affairs, to introduce the speaker. I did say Ron Schumacher.
Yes, you did. Thank you, Dr. Marion. Well, good morning, Tiffin. It's great to be alive today, and before we get started with the program, Dr. Marion, you and Susan will be missed, and we appreciate the work that you have done over the last 13 years, and today is the first day, I guess, of the rest of your life after we get through June 30th. So I just wanted to say that out loud, and thanks for everything over the last 13 years. We today for Good Morning World are celebrating our 31st year of Good Morning World, and today we take on a topic that is very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and that is autism. Anthony Ianni was diagnosed with autism at age 4 while living in Ohio. At that time, medical specialists informed his parents that he would never be academically successful and that he would most likely not graduate from high school or play any sports. He proved them wrong. Anthony's family relocated to East Lansing, Michigan when he was a young child. He graduated from Okemos High School and continued his education and graduated from Michigan State University in 2012, earning a bachelor's degree in sociology. Anthony also played at Grand Valley State, so this isn't his first trip to Tiffin, Ohio. He did participate in tearing up the Gilmore Student Center gym on a couple of occasions. Anthony also received an athletic scholarship and played for basketball for MSU. He was a member of the 2010 and 2012 Big Ten championship teams and tournament championship teams, in addition to being part of the 2010 Final Four team. He's the 2010 MSU Tim Brakos, if I pronounce that wrong, you tell me, walk-on award winner, and 2012 MSU Unsung Player Award winner. He is also the first college athlete and college basketball player in NCAA history to have autism. Although Anthony has many accomplishments in his life, it has required hard work and committed parents. Anthony endured significant bullying as a child. He also met a number of challenges along the way and continues to face obstacles, but is determined to overcome them. Anthony is now a motivational speaker delivering his message of hope, inspiration, and dedication. He is extremely personable and immediately draws young kids and adults to his message. In addition to motivational speeches, Anthony also speaks about anti-bullying based on his own experiences of being a victim himself. He delivers a strong message of being careful of what you say and do, as well as if you see something, say something and put a stop to it. It's my pleasure to introduce Anthony Ianni.
These things are too short for me sometimes, so. But good morning, everybody. I'm very happy and honored to be back in Tiffin, Ohio, and it's always good to come back to the home state too. You know, that's one thing people don't know a lot about me, is that I'm originally from Athens, Ohio, which is just south of Columbus. My dad was at Ohio University before we went to Michigan State, so I still have my grandmother who lives in Wauseon, so I'm very, very happy to be back in Ohio and very happy to be here at Tiffin today. You know, Ryan was able to tell you, pretty much everything that's happened to me early on in my life, but I kind of like to give the full details this way. When I was 4 years old, 1993, that's when I was diagnosed with pervasive developmental disorder, a type of autism, because For autism, like there's different parts of the spectrum. There's high ends, there's the low end, and there's Asperger's and PDD-NOS, which is higher functioning autism, and that's what I have. And the unique thing about my diagnosis was in 1993, autism wasn't really known back then. That was more of the ADD, ADHD era. And initially, that's what doctors diagnosed me as, with ADD. And my mom was like, no, it's not that. I know what ADD looks like. Like, my mom's a volleyball coach. She's coached at all levels, college, high school, middle school, whatever. And she's like, I've had players who have ADD, and I know what it is. So they diagnosed me a second time around with pervasive developmental disorder. And then we moved to East Lansing. When I was 5 years old, the doctors and psychiatrists told my parents, sir, ma'am, let's face facts, your son has autism. So don't expect him to do much or be much in life. He'll barely graduate from high school, never go to college, never be an athlete. And I come from a family of athletes. My mom was a 3-sport All-American at Adrian College, which is just right on the border of the state of Michigan and the state of Ohio. My dad was a baseball player at Michigan State, and my sister was a volleyball player at Michigan State. So they said no expectations there. And the last thing they told him was eventually when he's done with high school, whenever that is, he's going to be placed into a group institution with other autistic kids like himself for the rest of his life. I was not told that story until my freshman year of high school. So that kind of became my motivation to prove those people and any other doubters and naysayers I had wrong in my life. I worked hard at everything, from basketball to my social life, and especially school, because you guys may take one good look at me and automatically think, man, that guy had to have been the smartest kid in his entire school. I wasn't. I'm not afraid to admit that. I wasn't a straight A student. I got good grades. I had a few bad grades here and there, but that's because each and every single day was a different day with an even more difficult challenge. And my teachers, who sacrificed and supported me a ton, helped me get through those tough days. With my autism, folks, I'm very black and white. What that means is some of you guys could say something to me, I could take it the complete opposite sometimes. I had a tough time understanding nouns, verbs, idioms, and sarcasm. I took things very seriously. When I was a terrible test taker. The reason why was because there would be words, sentences, or phrases on that test that I wouldn't understand, and I would struggle on that test. But what my teachers did with me, they pulled me aside after class and asked me, all right, tell me what you were thinking when you read this word, or when you read this sentence on the test. What were you thinking? And I would tell them, and then they would tell me, all right, we understand what you were thinking. Here's an easier way for you to remember this word, so it could trigger in your mind easily. And that's what my teachers did for me, but I'll get into more what else they did for me in a little bit. But it wasn't just teachers who supported me, it was friends, family, coaches, and my teammates. And I mean, the rest is history. I mean, Ron read it off to you. Graduated from high school, was at Grand Valley State for 2 years, went to Michigan State where I was awarded a full ride scholarship, part of 2 Big Ten championship teams, a team that won the Big Ten tournament title, a team that went to the Final Four, played with an outstanding group of gentlemen who to this day I'm still proud to call them my brothers for life. And first ever Division I college athlete and first Division I college basketball player to be diagnosed with autism. Great achievements, but not as great as this achievement when I graduated from Michigan State. Doing something that people said I have no chance of doing, let alone I have a 0% chance of stepping foot on a college campus anywhere in the United States. So I've been through a lot of challenges and obstacles in my life that were taller than me, and I'm 6'9". I've been through a lot of challenges and obstacles that wore bigger shoes than me. And believe it or not, I wear a size 18. And my shoes are difficult to find online sometimes. I do have to special order them from time to time, and that's a hassle. Let me tell you, that's just a true hassle. But got to deal with it. That's the thing. That's one of the things I get for being tall in my life. But 3 ways I've gotten through my life. I pass these 3 ways down to each and every single school I've been to around the country and every single transition conference I've spoken at. And I like to pass them down to Tiffin, Ohio today. They're called the 3 keys to success. Because I tell people all the time, you follow these 3 keys for the rest of your life, not only are you going to go far and do what you love to do, but these 3 ways will make you better as an individual. The first one was motivation, because each and every single day I woke up, I had this mindset. It was the mindset of, who's going to doubt me today? Who's going to tell me I can't do this, I won't do that? I tell people all the time, I didn't mind being doubted every single day, every single second of my life. As a matter of fact, to this day, I still welcome each and every single doubter and hater in my life with open arms. Because the more and more they doubted me, the more and more motivated I became. The more and more motivation I got to want to strive for success in life, make a name for myself, and climb the tallest mountains in my life. But every time I was motivated, things were never handed to me, things were never given to me. I had to go out and do it the old-fashioned way. I had to work hard and earn everything given to me in my life. hard work, which is the second key. Now, my father gave me a quote, folks, a quote that's always stuck with me throughout my life, and a quote that I want you guys to remember forever and pass it down to your kids and grandkids, because this is a quote that, in my opinion, is really powerful. And I'll tell you how powerful it is. November 2012, like after the first month, this is like the second month of my speaking career ever. I went to a middle school of about 400 total students. So it was a really small town in Bath, Michigan, which is north of where I'm from, East Lansing. And I came home 2 weeks later and I got a package of thank you letters from all the students at the school. But only one letter stood out to me the most out of those 400 letters. And this letter, this student wrote to me, thank you for coming to our school. You inspired me, helped out a lot of other people. You made a difference in my school. That's not what stood out to me the most. In this letter, this student actually shared information with me. I thought a student would only share with a teacher, a principal, or a counselor. She told me one of her grades at the time was a D-. Now, initially I thought about, you better stop reading the letter because you're not a teacher, you're not a principal, you're not even a guidance counselor, so you better just don't even go on. But knowing me, I did it anyway. I kept reading on. She went on to tell me she used my father's quote for motivation and inspiration to work harder, not just in school, but work harder out there in life. And in just 2 weeks, because of all her hard work and because of this quote, that D- grade went to a solid B in 14 days. And the quote is, the harder you work, the more you earn. The harder you work, the more you earn. And that quote is as true as it can get, folks. When my father taught me those words, that quote helped me graduate from my high school and people said I'll barely do it. That quote helped me earn 2 full-ride scholarships for college basketball, Grand Valley State and Michigan State, and people said I'll never be an athlete. That quote, in my opinion, helped me graduate from one of the toughest colleges in the state of Michigan. Yes, tougher than that other school in Ann Arbor. Hey, I have a lot of respect for Michigan, but sometimes I gotta have a little fun with the rival. I mean, we play them in, how many days is it now? We play them in 9 days, so I'm getting ready for rivalry week early. But doctors and psychiatrists told my family, not only will I never graduate from college, but I have a 0% chance of graduating or stepping foot on a college campus anywhere in this country. That quote helped me and my teammates at Michigan State earn not 1, but 2 Big Ten championship rings. One of them I'm wearing today. This is our 2012 Big Ten and Big Ten tournament championship ring. This is proof, folks, of what hard work earned us as a team. Not as individuals, but as a team. As individuals, this is what hard work earns a student in school. Getting good grades in school is what hard work earns you. Going to high school and graduating from high school is what hard work earns you. Going to any college a student wants to go to in the United States, graduating from that college and getting their degree is what hard work earns them. And just because we're Michigan State, folks, one of the greatest basketball programs in the entire country, doesn't mean for 1 second, every time we walked into an arena or walked into a gym, teams got scared of us. That never happened. Every day, night, week, month, year, we had to go out, earn our victories, but more importantly, earn each and every single person's respect around the country. But our toughest games that we've had wasn't against Duke, wasn't against Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, Michigan, or Ohio State. It wasn't against those guys. It was against each other, every day in practice. Those were our toughest games, our toughest battles. I battled teammates of mine like Draymond Green, who was a great player, Big Ten Player of the Year in 2012, plays for the Golden State Warriors. Adrian Payne, got drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. Derek Nix, who's about my height and he's 270 pounds. He's a big dude. He's like an offensive lineman, and he plays out in Europe right now. He plays in France. I got to play with a great group of guys. But the one thing that we loved about each other the most in Michigan State wasn't how many championships we won, wasn't how many Final Fours we went to, wasn't how many All-Americans we had in 1 year. It was about how much respect and support we had for one another no matter what. We didn't care if our teammates were black or white. We didn't care if they came from Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Grand Rapids, Flint, or Saginaw. We didn't care. The only thing we cared about was supporting each other through the good times and the bad times. Having each other's backs no matter what. Respecting one another no matter what. That's why we call each other brothers at Michigan State, because we're like a family. I may not be at Michigan State anymore, but any chance I get to go back to East Lansing and spend some time with my coaches, my old teammates, I cherish every moment with them. And not just with teammates, but with friends from elementary school all the way to high school. I cherish every second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year with all of them. And that's what I encourage each and every single person to do their whole life. To cherish every moment they have with friends every day. Because just like family, they got your back. They're going to support you through the good times and the bad times. They're always going to respect you. And more importantly, they're going to have your back no matter what. But it wasn't just friends or teammates, folks, that helped me get through tough days and tough times in my life. And that's why I like to tell people everybody asks me all the time, well, how'd you go through this journey by yourself? I didn't. I mean, Ron and I were at dinner last night, and he asked me kind of along the similar lines of, how did you get to be who you are today? Like, what made you who you are? And I told Ron, I had the biggest support system that I could ever ask for. And that's the third and final key, and in my opinion, most important one of them all, is support. Now, if you folks don't mind, participate with me on this one, because I do it all the time in schools, but I figured I'd do it today as well. How many of you guys have older or younger brothers and sisters? Raise your hand for me. All right, hands down, thank you. These next two questions, please be 100% honest with me, 100% honest. When you were younger, or even today, how many of you got annoyed by your brothers and sisters from time to time? Okay, just thought I'd ask, hands down. All right, last question, and again, 100% honest, please. We're all family here today, so it's okay. For those of you that did get annoyed by your brothers and sisters when you were younger, did it ever get to the point you wanted to beat them up sometimes? Like I said, don't be shy. Thank you. The reason why I asked that is I have one older sister. My sister Allison is 4 years older than me, and she was without question the greatest volleyball player to ever come out of the state of Michigan. For those of you that have daughters or granddaughters that play volleyball, for those of you that know the game really well, my sister was a setter, and my sister's 6'2". She dominated every time she stepped foot on the court. She was recruited, folks, by all these great colleges around the country. Colleges such as Stanford, USC, Oregon, UCLA, Texas, Florida, Miami, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Nebraska. The list goes on and on and on. She was that good. But the reason why I ask is, who gets annoyed by their brothers and sisters? You just want to beat them up sometimes? I'm not going to lie to you. There were days, weeks, months, heck, probably years, that I was the most annoying little brother ever. I drove my sister over the edge so many times, it drove her crazy. But the last 2 weeks I was home, or she was home from college, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, not in the afternoon, in the morning, and I snuck into my sister's room. I kind of opened her door as quietly as I could, kind of walked in there as fast as I could, and I sat down. There's a desk and a chair by her bed, so I sat down in the chair, and as I'm sitting there, I had this smile on my face the entire time. This creepy, evil intention looking smile. My sister woke up and she immediately got so mad at me, angry with me, yelled at me, screaming, get out of my room, I'm trying to sleep. I'm not doing anything but sitting there and laughing at her because I ain't gonna move, so I gotta do what I gotta do. And I told her, I said, well, before I go, I have a little secret to share with you. And it wasn't a secret, folks, where you whisper it to somebody, or if I pull Ron in the corner, I have something private to share with him. It wasn't like that. It was a secret where I screamed. And I screamed it so loud, I probably woke up the entire neighborhood because I was that loud. And all I said to my sister for 14 straight days at 7 o'clock in the morning until she left for college was I was going to turn her room into an arcade. And after I screamed that, I immediately did laps around her room. I ran in circles. And after that, I got up on her bed. I jumped up and down on her bed. And just before she got out of bed to even tackle me, I'm already out the door. Now, I had my own little layout, too, my own little blueprint for this. I had my own little artwork for it. I was going to put a pinball machine in there. I was going to go into her closet. I didn't care what was in there. Anything that was in there was coming right out of that closet, going straight to the nearest Goodwill store. And I was going to put a Pac-Man game in that closet, too. And all you had to do was plug it in, hit start. You didn't need money, didn't need coins or tokens. Plug in and hit start, have as much fun as you want. But that never happened. You see, my parents, of all people, laid down the law. They said, absolutely not. That has two chances of happening. Slim and none, and Slim already left the building. So I tried, though. But I'm going to tell you what I did for 2 weeks after my sister left. And, sometimes I have kids look at me and go, what in the world would want to make you do that? Like, are you a crazy guy or something? Why? But what I did for 2 weeks, 14 straight days after she left for college, was I stayed in her room because I missed her that much. It took me 14 years of my life to finally realize how important my only sibling is to me. And it was a tough and scary time for me too, folks, because I was just starting off as a freshman at my high school in Okemos. And as a freshman, I was 6'6", and I wore a size 16 shoe. And I kid you not, I was scared of guys who were literally this tall. Because they were the football players. They were big, muscular guys. This is what I looked like in high school. Actually, yeah, that's about the right height, actually. Yeah, this is me in high school. That's how skinny I was in high school. I didn't lift or touch a weight until I was a junior, and I thought those football guys were going to beat me up each and every single day. But luckily and thankfully, that didn't happen. I became good friends with a lot of them. But still, all the fun, moments and memories I had as a freshman, I did not get a chance to share those moments with my sister because she started off at a college in California called Pacific. And it was a tough time because that's, for those of you who've been to California or have family out there, that's a 3-hour time difference. If she called us at 9 o'clock their time, it's midnight, and I'm already sleeping. She never came home for spring break. She barely came home in the summertime because of volleyball. They had spring volleyball and they had summer camps. So it was tough. It was hard for me. Every time I went out to California to watch her play, I'm there for a weekend, I had to leave, I'm crying because I didn't want to leave her because that's how much I missed her. That's how much she meant to me and still means to me. But when she came back home, finished her career at Michigan State, we became closer than ever. We were like best friends. Went to the movies, went to the mall. On the weekend, I'd be at her apartment watching college football, college basketball, watching all the Detroit professional teams. Or I would sit there for 2-3 hours and talk to her about life. She was a big expert on that. She gave me all the great life advice I needed in the world. If I was caught in tough times, decisions I didn't know what to make, I was going to her saying, hey, if you were in my shoes back in your day, how would you do this? My sister was a college athlete. And for those of you that don't know this, some of you may do, but college athletes live 2 different lives. Student and athlete. That's why we're called student athletes, because we live 2 lives. And we got to balance both those lives out, because if one life takes over the other, you're not going to make it as a college athlete. The same goes with a regular college student. Here's your school life, here's your job life. Balance them out, because if one takes over the other, you may not make it in college. That's why I tell students all the time. But my sister was the reason why I was able to make it through Michigan State, because of all her advice she gave me, how to balance my life out as a college athlete. She taught me that. Even at 22 years old, my sister and my mom, I'll get into my mom in a minute here, my sister was pretty protective of me because she was the older sister. She saw how I was treated when I was younger. She saw how people said things and did things to me that just weren't right, and she was very protective of me. Even when I was 22 years old, a senior in college, she was still overprotective of me. If our fans said something about me, she'd be right there getting in that person's face. And I would say to her, hey, I'm 22 years old. I'm almost a grown man. Let me protect myself from time to time. I love you, but ease up a little bit. But even to this day, she's still protective of me no matter what. And I tell people all the time, I don't care how annoying your brothers and sisters are to you. I don't care how annoying you are to them. At the end of the day, you guys are still family. And you have each other for the rest of your life. And just like friends, you cherish every moment, every day with family. And I encourage every single person around the country to do this, and I'm still going to do it for a long, long time. And I encourage every person to hug their family members for the rest of their lives, because tomorrow is never promised. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's why I tell people all the time to cherish every moment with family and friends, because they may not be there tomorrow, or the next day, or the next week, or the next month, or the next year. If we could predict the future, folks, I'm telling you right now, we could stop each and every single bad thing from happening in our world today, and nobody would complain about a thing. But we can't. That's life. We can't predict when or where things are going to happen. So that's why I tell people to hug their family members every day of their lives, because you just never know what tomorrow is going to bring, and it's never promised. And that's why, folks, I thank God for my parents every day, for what they've done for me, what they sacrificed for me. They helped raise me and helped me become the man that I am today. My mom, love her to death. She's a coach. Coached at Ohio University basketball and volleyball for over 5 years till she had me. Coaches at the high school level, coaches at my high school still. She's probably coached it for about 15 years now, so she's the best at what she does. But I'm not going to lie to you. There were times that I thought my mother embarrassed me. I'm 25 years old. She still calls me her baby from time to time. And when I was at Michigan State, anytime I went back to the middle school, she always called me her baby in front of her students. And it was embarrassing to me at first, because I'm like, these are kids that know me or that I'm good friends with, or I coached in camp and my mom's calling me her baby. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. So I went home one night and I said to my mom, I said, Mom, you need to quit calling me your baby. I said, because it's embarrassing and I don't think you just don't have a right to. To this day, I still regret saying that to my mom. Because my mom immediately looked me back in my eyes and said to me, excuse me? You don't tell me what to do and what not to do. You got it? I'm your mother. Brought you into this world, I could take you out of it. Boy, was I scared after she told me that. Hey. And I immediately said to my mom, I basically went as far as saying that she ruled the entire household and my father didn't do a thing. That's how far it went. My dad immediately pulled me aside after I said that. I thought he was going to yell at me. And he just started laughing at me. He said, son, I'll be honest with you. If I said the same thing you did, I probably would have been in your shoes right now saying the same thing. But he said, I want you to remember this. And I'll never forget this talk. He said, it doesn't matter how old you are, where you go, or what you do. You're your mom's baby for the rest of your life. Son, that's a title you were born with, a title that's never going to leave you. Your mom could call you your baby in front of whoever she wants, whenever she wants, because she can, because that's who you are. And my father was right. So I felt bad. I went and hugged my mom before I left the house. And as I'm driving back to my apartment on Michigan State's campus, most of the time I'll have the radio on or my iPod on, just listening to music, but I didn't have anything on. The only thing that was going on was the sound of my engine. That was it. Because the entire time I kept thinking to myself, you know what? My dad's right. I am my mom's baby for the rest of my life. And now today, I'm even more proud to admit that than anything in the past. In the past, if I was like 18 years old, I would have been like, I'm my mom's baby. That's embarrassing. Today, no. I'm proud to say it. Because my dad was right. That's the title I'm born with each and every single day. My mom as a teacher, folks, spent countless tireless, sleepless nights helping me with homework and projects. There were days that I said to myself, I quit. Days I said, this is impossible. It will never happen. I can't do it. My mom and my dad refused to let those words come out of my mouth. My father told me those words shouldn't be allowed in the dictionary because all they do is bring people down. They bring their heads down every day. And one thing my parents taught me to do if I went to sleep, and I still do it to this day, is look at myself in the mirror and ask myself these questions. Questions like, did I give it my all today? Did I give 100% effort in all my classes today? Did I leave all my heart, passion, energy, and effort on the basketball court today? If I wasn't satisfied, folks, with how I did that day, my plan was to go back the next day and give 110%. If I still didn't do as well as I thought I did the next day, my plan is to go back the following day and give 120%. My parents taught me all those things, supported me, and told me to look at myself in the mirror before I went to sleep because they didn't want me to wake up the next morning saying these words. Words like, I wish I would have studied harder. Or I wish I would have made more free throws after practice. Or I wish I would have made that jump shot in the corner last night before halftime. Could have given us the lead. Could have changed the momentum of the game. Heck, could have won us the game. They didn't want me to walk around in life having regrets. Because if we have regrets in life, folks, it's just going to eat up inside of us each and every single day, and we're going to be down every day for the rest of our lives. My parents taught me that. My father especially. Times like him pulling me aside, telling me, you are your mom's baby. It was times like that where I called him the wise man. I still call him that to this day because he knows everything. He gave me all these great inspirational words and quotes every day. Even yesterday. I was down about something yesterday and he just inspired me. And the funny thing is, what he was telling me yesterday was the exact same thing I tell kids every day. And I got the phone with him and I go, are you kidding me right now? I'm getting my own lesson right now I give to kids all over the country. But my father, folks, was like my coach. He's been in athletics now for over 30 years. 20 years at Michigan State. He's the deputy director of athletics there. A couple of years at OU and a few years at Virginia. So he's been in NCAA athletics for over 30 years. He's been around great basketball players like Magic Johnson, like Steve Smith, Mateen Cleaves, Draymond Green, great football players like Plexico Burress, like Julian Peterson, all those guys. So he's been around the greats. He's seen them all. And he took me to all those games. And he was literally my coach. In Michigan high school basketball, folks, and back in my day, we played Tuesday, Friday, and we practiced Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yep, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Saturday was our off day, but not for me. If you're looking for me, I'm in Michigan State's gym, shooting around with him for an hour, hour and a half. My dad was probably one of the greatest high school basketball players at his school. He had a chance to walk on Michigan State, but he opted to play baseball. But he knew everything about basketball. If my footwork was wrong, he's working with me on my footwork. If my jump shot form was off, he's helping me with my form. He taught me a lot. The one thing he taught me, though, was that you control your own destiny. You control your own fate in life. You don't let anybody else control it but you. Your dreams, your goals, your accomplishments, that's on you. It's on your hard work. It's not on anybody else. It's on you. That's what he's taught me the most in life. And I'll tell you what, folks, the day those doctors and psychiatrists said those things to my parents, they could have easily just said, you know what, you're right. Might as well deal with it. But they didn't. My father believed in me when I was 5 years old. He knew I can make it through high school. He knew I can go to college. He knew I can graduate. He knew I could be a student athlete. He believed in me when I was 5 years old. I mean, my mom was devastated after those words. She said, my dad said to her, it's not going to happen to him. He's going to be the greatest kid in the world, whether he's an athlete or not. But he's going to make it through high school. He's going to make it to college. We're going to make sure it happens. And they did. Without my parents, I have no idea where I'm at to this day. I mean, my dad's dream in athletics was always to be an athletic director, and I was telling Ron this last night. In 2002, he was one of the final 3 candidates for the Toledo athletic director job. And he pulled his name out of consideration for me. Because he told me, and this was before I graduated high school, I asked him why he didn't go to Toledo when he was the leading candidate for it. And he said, son, I didn't move us to Toledo. I didn't take it because of you. What you have here in Okemos, the teachers and the students and your friends, I didn't want to move you away from all that. I didn't want you to have to start over again. I didn't want you to have to go through tough changes, because with me, folks, changes are really hard for me. You know, and not just me, but for all people with autism. You know, they have a certain schedule they got to stay on. They don't like a lot of change. That's how I am. I don't like a lot of change. And if something does change, I don't know what to do. And my father said, we're staying here. This is where you belong. And I told Ron last night, I said, for my father to put aside his dreams for me, that took a lot of guts to do. And I don't know how I'm going to repay my father for that, but somehow, some way I am. Because he didn't have to pull his name from being a candidate for that job. He didn't have to, but he did. And for him to tell me he did it for me, to this day, I still get a little emotional about it, because I could end up right back in Ohio with a different story. I may not have the same story, but he didn't want that to happen. So that's why I'm thankful for my parents. Heck, I'm married, folks. Been married for over a year now. My wife and I are expecting our first child in February. We're having a little boy, so I'm very excited to be a father. But just because I'm going to be a dad, folks, and I'm a husband, doesn't change this in my life, and it goes for each and every single person around the world. We're all faced with decisions in life. Decisions that put so much pressure on our shoulders, we want to try and avoid those times. But not me. I'll tell you where I'm going with this. I'm going to my family. Because everybody in my family has been through tougher times and has made tougher decisions than I will ever make. Decisions that will impact our lives. Because what I say or do in the public eye, folks, doesn't just impact me. It impacts everybody that I love in life. And it goes the same for everybody. Every decision we make in life doesn't just impact everybody in this room or everybody at a university or everybody in a town. It impacts each and every single person we love in our lives. For me, it's my wife, my son, and my entire family. The decisions I make are on their shoulders as well. But if I'm caught in a tough decision, if I don't know what decision is best for me or my wife or my son, I'm going to my family. Because they're the experts. Mom, dad, sister, aunt, uncle, grandparent, cousin. My best friend's family is like a second family to me. In high school, decisions I had to make, I didn't know what to do, I went to them as well. Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, if you were in my shoes in this situation, what would you do? How would you approach this? To this day, I'm still doing that with them. They live in North Carolina now. I'm still calling them, messaging them on Facebook. Hey, Mrs. So-and-so, help me out here. What would you do? That's why I tell kids all the time, don't ever be afraid to go to family and ask for advice. Because at the end of the day, your family will love you and support you no matter what. But they want the decisions that are best for you. They're going to help you through those tough decisions. It's still your call, but they're going to make sure the decision you make is the best for you and everybody around you. So even though I have tough decisions to make in life, I'm not leaving my family out of it. I want them to be a part of it because of what they've done for me. Like I said, I may be 25 years old, but that doesn't mean I'm done with them. I'm never going to be done with family. Family has always been number one for me in life, and always will be. But not just family, folks, that's always helped me through life. Another group as well, and that's teachers. And I don't know how many of you in here are teachers, but for every teacher that I taught to, I say this everywhere I go, and I truly mean it, but I have a special place in my heart, not just for teachers in my hometown, not just in the state of Michigan, but for each and every single teacher around the country. Because without my teachers, folks, I'm definitely not here today. I don't know where I'm at without them. I had teachers, folks, who were high school coaches. Some of them coached at my school, some of them coached at other schools that were a half hour, 45-minute drive from Okemos. Those teachers spent 40 minutes of their own practice time after school to be with me, to help me review, to help me study, to help me learn more, to help me prepare for a test. They did all that for me. They didn't have to do that, but they did it because they cared, they wanted to be a part of something special, and they are, and they were, and they still are to this day. I mentioned I wasn't a good test taker. I would look at things sometimes in class I wouldn't understand, and when the students looked at me crazy, my teacher would come up to me and say, "What's the problem? You know, what are you understanding?" My test accommodations I had in high school and in Michigan State, I had extended time, I had a reader, and I had my own little room because I couldn't take my test in a room with everybody else. I had to kind of be by myself so I can stay focused, because when I was a younger kid, you know, I had a tough time focusing, you know, in a big classroom environment. You know, if a teacher was talking like I am right now, my head I'd be in this direction, that direction, this direction, or where, like I'm all over the place. Now, I had a tough time with fire drills. I didn't like loud noises. My mom didn't throw me a birthday party until I was 10 years old. When I was in high school, the wiring system got worked on all the time, which triggered the alarm. And it really kind of scared me a little bit. The first time it ever happened, I got scared. Second time it happened again, I jumped out of my chair and I said, "Oh, just a drill, go outside. I'm pretty sure so-and-so is going to be out there. You can see him or her," and just kind of chat away for 5 minutes. My teachers helped me get over my fears. They did a lot for me. To this day, I still have a relationship with all of them because I deal with a lot of students every day, and I ask them, if you had a student in this situation, what would you do? To this day, they're still teaching me. They may not know it, but they are. And to this day, and I get emotional about my teachers all the time because of what they've done for me. But to this day, I tell people all the time, I owe every single teacher I've ever had in Okemos something. I owe them something because of what they've done for me. My coaches, folks, you know, everybody's always asked me, what's Tom Izzo like? Who is he? On the court, most intense guy you'll ever meet. He wants his team to be perfect in every single way. I'm sure you've seen him on TV, all the foot stomping, all the facial expressions, all the clipboards he's broke on television, all the screaming and yelling. You may have heard him swear a few times over TV, and he probably doesn't even know it. That's Coach. That's how intense he is. But off the court, nicest guy you'll ever meet. He cares about his players a lot. Whenever he has guys leave early for the NBA, like this past year, he always tells those guys, if you go to the NBA, you know, that's fine, I support you, but you better come back here and get your degree or get your degree online. Because I refuse to let a player go to the NBA without their degree. And every player that I know that has gone through Michigan State and left early for the NBA, all those guys have gotten their degree. Whether it was 1 year after they left or 5 years after they left, they kept their promise to Coach Izzo. That's who Coach Izzo is. He's a father figure. My uncle, it'll be Sunday this weekend. My godparent was shot and killed at his doorstep 4 years ago this Sunday. And it was a tough time for me because that was my godparent. That was my dad's second youngest brother. And it was tough for everybody, and I was kind of lost. These were my priorities in life, folks. Faith, family, school, basketball. Then when my uncle was killed, this is what it was. Faith, family, basketball, and school, because as I mentioned earlier, my teammates were like my family. So family and basketball was together. And I had the worst year ever of school that year because my priorities were so screwed up. But one night, Coach Izzo, you know, we had a team meeting. Not gonna lie to you, he called me out in front of the whole team about it, about the year I had. And then afterwards, I was upset. I wanted to go and break something because I was that furious. And he called me in his office. And as soon as I sat down in a chair in his office, I immediately began to break down and cry. I've never done that in front of a coach before. And I was embarrassed because I was like, this is Tom Izzo. This is my coach. This is one of the best coaches in the country, and I'm crying in front of him right now. But I had to, because I held in my emotions for so long, all those months of going through all this pain. I didn't know what to say or do to people. I just let it all out. And Coach Izzo gave me a conversation I'll never forget. He said, AI, that's what a lot of people call me. Those are my initials, just in case you guys were wondering. He said, AI. He said, I know everything about you. He said, I've known you since you were 7 years old, and that's how long I've known Coach Izzo. I've known him for almost 20 years now. He said, I know what was said about you when you were 5 years old. I know what people's expectations are of you right now. A lot of people don't have high expectations for you. But he said today's May 5th, 2011, in which it was. Scary thing it was. He said, today's May 5th. He said, I'm telling you right now, you are 365 days away from doing something that people said you can never do. And that's walking out here with your degree from Michigan State. He said, I know what happened to you this past fall was tough. He said, I can't imagine what kind of pain you and your family went through or what you're going through now. He said, but I'm telling you right now, you have 365 days left here, and that's it. You have summer workouts with us, you have summer classes, you have fall classes, you have the football season as your senior year, you have the basketball season. He goes, I'm telling you right now, our season's gonna go by like that. And you don't ever get back another basketball year at Michigan State. He said, well, number one, I want you to enjoy the time you have left here. But number two, I want you to work your butt off. Because I know that you can do this. I believe in you. He said, because you want to know who the first person is going to be to hug you after you get your degree when you walk up that stage here in the Breslin Center? I said, my family? He goes, nope, they won't be the first. He goes, I'm going to be the first. He said, because as soon as you walk off that stage, I'm going to be at the tunnel waiting for you. And I'm going to be the one that's going to hug you. I said, all right, Coach, I got you. Not only did I have the best school year of my college year that year, not only did I walk off that stage and graduate, but Coach kept his promise. Who's the first person I see when I walk off that stage? He is. First person to hug me. And that's always one of my favorite Anthony Ianni, Coach Izzo stories right there. And that's my point to people of who he is as a person. That's the kind of coach that I wish everybody would be like around the country. That's the kind of coach that people look up to and that I look up to every day. I'm always keeping up with Coach. And he's always told people that the one thing that all of his teams the last 2 years have missed was my enthusiasm and my passion for the basketball program. And for him to say that about me, it's a true honor. It really, really is. But like I told Ron, without that support system I had, even today, I don't know where I'm at. I'm not the same person. I'm not a national motivational speaker. I'm not the first Division I athlete or Division I college basketball player with autism. I'm not. I don't know who I am without my mom and dad, without my sister, without my wife, without my family, without my teachers, or without my coaches. I have no idea where I'm at. Motivation, hard work, and support is what got me through my life, and it's still getting me through life to this day. And that's what I encourage each and every single person around the world to have in life. The last thing I will say, folks, my slogan as a speaker, if you will, when I first started off, I kept thinking of the idea of, man, I got to end with something as a speaker. I can't just end with, all these facts and then go, oh, time's up, have a great day, see you later. I was like, I got to think of something that I can have with for the rest of my career, that I can just start off with and end with. And this is what I came up with. The letters L, Y, and D. 3 letters that stand for 3 words. Letters that stand for live your dreams. Because I kept thinking to myself, you know what, I was able to live my dreams, so why not encourage each and every single person or student around the country to do that? So that's what I came up with. Live your dreams, because that's what I encourage each and every single student every day to do. To live their dreams and accomplish their everyday goals and everyday dreams that they have. But I do tell them this, just like me, you're going to be approached by people in life that will say to you, you can't do this, can't do that, you won't do it, it's impossible, you'll never do it, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too slow, you're too fast, you're smart, you're too smart, you're not smart, you're just not good at anything. But there's that motivation. Go work hard in everything that you do and that you love to do. Remember, you have a lot of support. Whether it's from friends, teachers, coaches, teammates, or family, somebody's going to be in your corner no matter what. And I tell kids all the time, I tell everybody to reach for the stars every day. I reach for the stars. And it's not because I'm 6'9". I don't have the easiest way to reach for the stars. I have a difficult way sometimes, not because I'm tall. But I reach for the stars every day, folks, because I believe in myself and what I do, and I'm not afraid to fail and reach for those stars. Because the reason why, folks, people do what they love to do is because number one is inspiration. Because there's something each and every single day that inspires us to do what we love to do, but more importantly, be better as people, be better as individuals for that inspiration. You know, I talk about a lot of inspiring stories. Adrian Payne and Lacey Holsworth was one of them. I don't know how many of you guys know that story, but Adrian was a teammate of mine. And his biggest inspiration was a little girl named Lacey Holsworth. Lacey had cancer. Now, I'll never forget the first time we met her. Walked into her hospital room. She had this look on her face like, what are all these giants doing in my room right now? So we had a lot of fun that day. We were playing board games with her, coloring with her. It was awesome. But then we had to leave to go make our rounds around the hospital, see other people. And her mom asked us, which one of you guys, one of you stay behind? We said, yeah, absolutely, but we're going to leave it up to your daughter. Who does she want us? Which one of us does she want to stay? Her mom asked her. She immediately pointed to Adrian, didn't hesitate. We walked out of there looking at each other, go, she picked Adrian? All right, but we had no idea how far this relationship was going to go. This relationship turned into a brother-sister relationship. Lacey called Adrian Superman every day because she said, Superman can't do what my Superman does. That's what she called him. Lacey, however, is no longer with us. She lost her battle this past spring in April. But because of her actions, her words, her battle, and how she went about life in the biggest positive way I've ever seen, Adrian Payne grew up. And as a freshman, he had a lot of growing up to do. A lot of growing up. Because of what she did for him and what she said to others and how she went about life, she inspired him to be a better person, to be more of a man, if you will. Now he gets to play in her honor every day in the NBA. Whenever he got tired in games, Coach Izzo was going to bring him out. He said, no. If Lacey can go through chemo, if Lacey can go through cancer every day, she can do this, do that, I'm going to play another 10 minutes. Heck, I'll go the rest of the game. He said, Coach, don't pull me. Coach, let him go. But that's what one inspiration does to somebody, folks. That's what one inspiration does. The other reason why people do what they love to do, folks, is because of hope. Because people believe in hope and they believe in themselves. And if we don't believe in ourselves in life, folks, nobody will. I had a tough time believing in myself when I was a freshman because I cared about what other people said and thought about me. But my best friend, who's one of those guys, he could care less what people said or thought about him. He actually played college baseball and college hockey, and he has a learning disability. One day, he could tell I was troubled by it as a freshman, grabbed me by my shirt, threw me up against my locker. I had no idea what was going on. I thought he was going to beat me up right then and there, and I didn't even do anything. And I looked at him and I said, dude, what are you doing right now? And he grabbed me by my shirt again, pulled me like this close to his face. He said, you better look me in my eyes right now, because I'm going to tell you this once and only once. You better forget about what people say or think about you. You better forget about what the world says or thinks about you. Because only one person's thoughts and opinions in our lives matter the most, and it ain't theirs. It's ours. Our opinions, your opinions, matter the most in life. Not the world's, not your classmates, but ours, yours. And that's why I was afraid to fail early on in my life, folks, because I cared about what other people said or thought about me. But I'm going to tell you the most important life lesson my father has ever given me. He told me you cannot be afraid to fail at anything in life. He said you can't be afraid of failure. Because if you are, it's going to eat at you each and every single day inside, and you're going to have regrets for the rest of your life. Believe in yourself and what you do every day, and you can't be afraid to fail at it. After practice, folks, I never left that gym until I made 5 free throws in a row. 4 out of 5 didn't cut it with me. 0 for 5 definitely doesn't cut it. I kept shooting and doing it each and every single day because not only I wanted to get better as a free throw shooter, but I believed in myself. And I wasn't afraid to miss. I wasn't afraid to fail at shooting free throws. The more and more I believed in myself, the more and more I wasn't afraid to fail. It taught me, those two things taught me this in life. It taught me how to build self-confidence. That's what believing in yourself and not being afraid to fail, what you do in life, teaches you. It teaches you how to be confident. So the more and more I shot, the more and more I believed in myself, the more and more I wasn't afraid to fail at it, the more and more I got to walk the streets of Okemos, Michigan every day, drive around in my life car, and be confident. But as I'm driving, in my rearview mirror, there's my biggest fear in life, failure. Right on my tail, just tailing me the entire way I'm driving. But the more and more I shot, the more and more I believed in myself, the more and more I wasn't afraid to fail, the farther and farther and farther and farther away that fear was getting in the distance in my rearview mirror because I become so confident in what I did in my life. That's what believing in ourselves and not being afraid to fail at what we do in life, folks, teaches us. It teaches us how to be confident. Hope and inspiration, folks, it's there when we go to sleep. It's there when we wake up. It's there every single step we take in life. I guarantee you it's in this great town called Tiffin, Ohio. It's everywhere we go. That's why I tell everybody around the country to live their dreams. Because at the end of the day, folks, we don't dream our lives. We live our dreams. Plain and simple. I want to thank you guys for having me today. It's an honor to be here today in front of you guys. Thank you so much for having me, everybody. God bless all you. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. This is my press conference part, I guess. So if you guys have any questions for me, I mean, throw them at me. I'm an open book. Yes, ma'am.
What's your next dream?
My next dream? Well, obviously I'm about to live my next one as being a parent. So I'm very excited about that. But my next dream is to be the best motivational speaker in the country. And I know according to some folks in the state of Michigan, they think I've kind of hit that mark at being the best in the state. And, but I don't want to just be the best one in the state. I want to be the best one in the country and hopefully the world one day. I mean, I have a lot of work to do, but, I'm only 25 years old. I don't plan on retiring for another 40 years now. So, but that's what I want to do. And I'm just going to do it through hard work and determination and, just keep working hard and see where I'll end up going in a couple of years from now. Yes, sir.
How'd you get from Grand Valley to Michigan State? How was that? Did that change? I know the Grand Valley coach didn't want to lose you.
Well, Ron and I were talking about this last night because he asked me the same question. I just had some difficult times with the coaches there, not in a bad way, but just in a way that they didn't know how to coach me. They didn't know how to deal with me understanding sarcasm, or if I didn't understand a play that I would need to walk through more than once, they would look at me like, how do you not get this? So it was just like the way they coached me, it wasn't great. So that's part of the reason why I left. I tell people all the time, had I not continued to play basketball, I would have stayed there, because Grand Valley was like home for me. I made a lot of great relationships with people, friends, teachers. So it was at the same time, it was the toughest decision I've ever had to make in my life to leave that place. But at the same time, it was the best one, because, the reason why I say Coach Izzo is great at what he does is because, he knew me. He knew what I've been through in my life. If he knew I didn't understand something, he would literally stop practice, walk through the play one more time. And if I still didn't understand it, what he would do is he'd pull me off to the side, bring somebody else in so I can watch it, and then go in and do it. And our assistant coaches were the same way, because Coach Izzo made me captain of the scout team my senior year. And my first 2 years, I had a difficult time going through scout team because it was difficult to walk through all these plays in less than a half hour. And there were at least 20 plays we had to walk through. And some teams ran all these different sets that we have never ran before. And our assistant coaches would literally, show me on the clipboard there, what the play was, and then go through it. They knew how to coach me. They knew how to coach everybody. And I think that's mainly the reason why I left Grand Valley for Michigan State. And to this day, I tell people it's still the best decision I've ever made. Don't be shy. Yes.
My daughter has Asperger's syndrome, and she's 9 years old. Did you go through occupational therapy or anything? You said it was very new at that point in time to be diagnosed with this. Did you go through any of those kind of therapies and things when you were young to help you excel?
Yeah, what I went through, and every time I speak, I keep forgetting to mention this. I'm glad you brought it up. When I was in kindergarten from probably middle of my junior year of high school, I had a speech teacher twice a week, and up until I got to middle school, it was once a week. And what my speech teacher did with me is we worked down different nouns, verbs, and even different idioms, because there was a time when my first grade teacher said the idiom "we're on cloud nine today," which everybody knows everybody's having a good day, everybody's just happy. Well, that's not what I thought. This is what I did. I literally got up out of my chair, walked over to a window, opened the window, popped my head out, and I'm looking out the window like this. And I went back in, I said to her, I don't see cloud 9. Or if there is a cloud 9, where is it? And she kind of giggled a little bit and told me what it meant. But that's what my speech teacher helped me work on. And we would play board games or just any kind of game. And she made it competitive for me. But I would roll the dice, but I couldn't move my game piece up until I got the right noun or verb or idiom right. And so she made it competitive and made it fun for me all in the same time. You know, I may have had different speech teachers throughout those years, but a lot of them did a great job. And, you know, like I said, it was teachers and lessons like that I learned from them that really helped me out. And when I got middle of my junior year, they called me in one more time for one more speech lesson, and they said, "That's it?" I said, "Whoa, what's it? What?" So you're done. You don't need to be with us anymore. We think that you've done enough the last, 11 years with us that, we think you managed. I was shocked because I was like, I'm done? Wait, I can't be done. There's more to learn. There's more to do. But when they thought I was ready, they were ready. And that's how much they believed in me. And without the speech lessons I had, like I said, I would not be here today. And that was that support system that really helped me out. Thank you. Good. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
That was a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony, and great message of overcoming everything in life. God bless your parents. That does it for today's Good Morning World. Our next one will be next semester in March, where we invite another basketball player in, Jerry Lucas, a former Ohio State star and now good friend of John Hill's, will be here discussing his goals and aspirations and his newfound successes. So we hope you will join us in March. So have a great Christmas. And thank you all. Have a great day.